And this is under review. Usually it's me just talking about Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national sports stories as well. But I have a guest for today, Mr. Will Vogel. You'll know him from a lot of shows we have here on the Sideline Sports Network. How are you doing, Will?
Doing good, Jordan. Just watching some early college football action. Probably watch some later along with the World Series. So
Well, you
it's
guys,
a crazy time at sports. I think forgot what it's called. Whereas NHL's on, MLB, NFL, not NFL, basketball and baseball are like all corresponded in one day.
it's to me, it's probably the best time of year. Like you said, you've got the NHL back. I mean, of course, my team is defending Stanley Cup champions, I should say. You got baseball, World Series. I mean, there's nothing better than watching baseball in October. I wish my team was in it, my two teams, I should say, but they're kind of
Same.
bad. Your team had a chance, and we won't talk about them really, but we'll talk about a player. Of course, basketball. I mean, I have the Nuggets who, they're playing okay. They're one of the
They're
teams that
gelling.
they
They're
are
gelling.
gelling exactly. And then, of course, football. I mean, football hasn't been too kind to me, but hey, you know what? It's the best time of year to watch college football and the NFL. There's nothing better.
Even when your team stinks, it's still so much fun to watch.
Well, that's the thing is I care so much about watching my team, even if we're bad. But it's just like
Same.
the thing
Same.
is there's only what 17 games. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I can handle a loss a lot better in hockey or basketball or baseball just because there's not that many. Football, it drives me nuts when my team loses. But you know what? We watch it because why? There's only 17 games. You gotta love it. And it's any given Sunday, even though that we have games on Thursday and Monday.
Yep.
And we've talked about in our pregame, or not pregame. Well, it was kind of a pregame, but our before our show, just talking about how bad of a product some of the Thursday and Sunday night and Monday night games are. But you know what? We'll have another show where we discuss that. But let's get into this World Series. I mean, we had Game 1 last night. I mean, honestly, I was not surprised that the Astros, I should say, went up 5-0. But I will say in my show that I did yesterday by myself, I did say that with these two offenses, if you get a lead, it won't matter because the other offense can come back. And that was certainly true last night. I was really surprised, though, that I didn't realize this, that when the Houston Astros are leading by 5+ runs in their history going into last night, we're 29-0.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
I just found that on Facebook. It must have been on the telecast last night, but I must have missed that. But 29-0. But you look at the Phillies, this is what they've been doing all postseason long. They do not give up. I mean, you look at that lineup with Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. I mean, you look at it, and they came back from a 5-0 deficit to tie this at 5. And you'll remember, because you listened to the Confidential, I never thought the Phillies would go this far. By the way, Confidential is our Cub show here on the Sideline Sports Network. And Will knows for sure, I think you were part of that show too, where we said there's no way that the Phillies are going to go this far. Well, they proved us wrong. But if you look at the Phillies, they battled back. They got it into, extra innings and took the lead. I think that was big, though, if you look at the top of the 10th to get that home run.
That was huge. That was a huge momentum shifter. That was definitely drove them to win. And I agree. Like no one I know thought the Phillies were going to go this far. Like I didn't even have them this far. And yes, I knew they had Nola and Wheeler and Castellanos and Schwarber and Harper and Hoskins and a bunch of other players. But I thought they were going to run into some trouble. But this team fought a really tough deficit and beat one of the best pitchers in the game, which is Justin Verlander. And getting this statement win is huge because number one, you're up 1-0 in the opposing team's ballpark. You play them the next day, so you're riding that. So it gets in their head. And number two, Oh, when you're on the road, it's so tough playing in a home, an away environment where you have, especially. I don't know. I don't think I don't know how many of these guys on the Phillies have World Series experience. I don't think a lot of them do. Maybe one or two, maybe three. I don't know.
I
But
know, obviously Kyle Schwarber is the only one I
Schwarber
can name.
does. Schwarber does. Harper doesn't. But they still suck in the moment. The lights doesn't get too bright for them. They handled adversity really well. When it was 5-0, I was like, oh great, this is going to be a 5-0 game, end at 5-0. But they um they fought hard. That catch by what was it? Who made that catch?
Castellanos.
Wow, I was like, if that ball drops, game over.
It was this close too, and you saw Nick Castellanos coming, and he slid, and you know what? He caught the baseball. But if you look at it, I mean, the area that I look at that for the Astros, they were 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position. That's not like the Astros team we've seen this year. I mean, they have Jose Altuve, Jordan Alvarez. I mean, I could keep Alex Bergman. I mean, I could keep going on with their team. And it just seemed like when they needed the timely hit, it didn't happen.
No, no,
And then
not at
if you
all.
and then if you look at tonight's game, Philly is playing with house money. The reason why I say that is, and I think you would agree,
It's a good pitching matchup. I like yesterday's pitching matchup. I also really like this pitching matchup. Wheeler against Valdez. That's gonna be a fun one to watch too.
it really is. But if you look at it, I mean, Phillies, you're playing with house money. You could easily go up 2-0 heading home.
Going up 2-0 and then you can go home. What an advantage that would be.
It really would be. And then you look at it, you go up 2-0. Houston's gonna press, in game 3 and who knows what happens if they win, if Philadelphia ends up winning game 3, which I don't know if they will, but you do have the home crowd, and then you're up 3-0. That's so much pressure on Dusty Baker and all that, the Houston Astros management plus their players. But it's really
If you're
important
the
for
I'm calling it right now. If you're the Astros, you can't afford. And I'm not an Astros fan. I'm a Yankee fan. I don't like the Astros, but I'm saying this for the Astros perspective. You do not want to go down 2-0.
that's
You
exactly
do
what I was.
not want to go down 2-0. Sure, there's miracles, teams coming back from 3-0 deficits, 2-0 deficits. But you just had Justin Verlander who struggled. And you have Framber Valdez. Yes, I know you're going against Wheeler, who's one of the best pitchers in the league, the second best ace on the Phillies. But you can't afford to go down 2-0, especially when the next game is on the road.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying Philadelphia's playing with house money. There's pressure on Houston. Now, did like you were saying, it was 5-0. Did I think that the Phillies would come back? No, I thought it was 5-0. Oh, this is going to be a 7,
Yep.
8 run game. Nope, that didn't happen. So you got to give credit to the Phillies, but I definitely look at it this way, that it's a much better bigger game for Houston. If you're Philadelphia, like I said, you have to play with house money. You can go up 2-0. Put so much pressure on them going home.
If you're the Houston players and the management, you go into your team meeting and saying, yesterday was a fluke. Just put in your mindset, if you can, this series is 0-0. The series is 0-0. Even though yesterday will probably still be on my mind, think the series is 0-0. You gotta always take that perspective.
I definitely agree with you. So we're going to move on to one of your players on your favorite team, Aaron Judge. So much has been brought up of where he's going to land in free agency. He's a free agent. If you look at it, I understand why, people would want him. He hit .311 with 62 home runs in the regular season, added 131 RBIs and 28 doubles. Of course, he's a really good outfielder, and you saw that with the Yankees. No errors and 6 outfield assists, a great arm. Any team would want him. The thing is, though, if you look at his postseason, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, he didn't show up in the NLCS.
No worries, he did not.
But he had 36 at-bats in the postseason with a .139 batting average and 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. I have to credit, though, the pitching of who'd you play in the first round? I can't even remember.
Cleveland.
Cleveland, that's correct. Yeah, that's right. Cleveland and, of course, Houston kept him off balance. The question is, though, where does he go?
So the postseason was definitely rough. The postseason's definitely a different animal. We both know that. You got regular season teams, and then you got postseason teams where teams turn up the amp from 1 to 5, or 1 to 10, or 1 to 100. But yes, it was a very tough postseason for Aaron Judge. I feel like he had a lot of pressure on him, even though he did get that home run to pass Maris, get the AL record. He probably still felt the pressure on his shoulders, saying, I'm betting on myself still, because he bet on himself this year. He denied money. And then also the New York crowd, the media, ESPN, MLB Network, all the MLB related stuff in the sports network were all like, Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge. What is he going to do? Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge. He bet on himself. Where is he going in the offseason? And that probably got in his head psychologically. What I think is going to happen is, first off, I know we're talking about Judge. I think the Yankees need to make moves first before. Of course, Judge is the number one priority. Re-sign Judge, but you got to get rid of Kiner Falefa in my eyes. He's a good fielder, doesn't have a bat. Roldis Chapman,
He's gone.
No offense, I hate saying this to fans who like him. Spoiled brat. He decided to stay home instead of going to mandatory workouts. And I know he had a horrible year, and we've talked about his ERA, his win-loss. It's called being a team player, not being a self-centered jerk. He is not coming back to the Yankees. I think he's going to a small market organization. I want him as far away as from the Yankees, because that guy is super self-centered. The next guy, Josh Donaldson. He was good when he was with the Twins. He was all right. He was good with his other teams. He was on the Blue Jays and other teams. He's past his prime. He's past his prime. Love Donaldson. Love his demeanor, but just I don't like the antics he does. He just needs to go to a mid-level team. I was sad when we lost Gio Urshela. I love Donaldson, but Gio Urshela was a good third baseman. He was a good fielder. I want him gone. The last guy, Aaron Hicks. What are you doing on the roster? You're 30-something years old. You're taking away a roster spot from a bunch of young, good players who probably are going to come out through our system, and you're just not performing. Like, I know you have spurts of goodness, but I've seen more spurts of bad. So I think he needs to retire. But yes, the main priority as a Yankee, re-sign Judge, because if you're Boone and Steinbrenner and Cashman, I go with Judge in the office, give him a checkbook, say how much do you want. We'll say yes or no, and we'll go from there. I think the Giants are going to make an amazing offer? Yes, but the thing is, Aaron Judge loves the Yankee fans. We love him. The problem is, who's closer to contending every year? The Giants or us? Us. Who's more likely to get crowds in the stadium? Us or them? Us. Even though they have an amazing ballpark. So, I understand he's from there. I think he comes back to New York. Do I think it's going to be like a 10-year deal? No. I think it's going to be like a 5-year deal.
I would have to agree. I mean, I look at where the rumors are for him to land. The Cubs, I mean, I'm a Chicago
I saw
Cubs
the
fan.
Dodgers, and I was like,
I'll get
to need him.
Dodgers don't make sense either. The Cubs don't make sense. We already have outfielders. If you look at the Dodgers, this is just supposedly the plan if they were to get him, because we know the Dodgers will spend, I should say. You would move Mookie Betts, one of your best outfielders, to second base. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So
he's never played the position.
That's exactly correct. I don't get it. So honestly, though, I would agree he's staying in New York. I just don't see how you can let that guy go.
If you let that guy go as a Yankee fan, and you somehow make the postseason, you're out first round, guaranteed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you want a guy who can not only play the outfield, and we've seen that he can get base hits, I mean, yeah, it didn't happen in the postseason, but who cares? I mean, yes, the postseason matters, but the point I'm trying to make is that he still got you timely hits in the regular season. That means more to me. Plus, he got 62 home runs. You want
Yeah.
that power in your lineup. But you touched on it, how to improve your MLB team. For me, though, as a Rockies and a Cubs fan, for the Rockies, it's starting pitching. It's always been pitching, and you obviously know how hard it is to pitch in the the altitude in Coors Field. The thing that bugs me though is they were a worst in terms of team ERA at 5.06. Starting pitching stood at 5.22, second to last. Bullpen was 4.85. It's just the thing about the Rockies is I know I'm not, I'm just a fan, but what I've seen with them is they will spend money on the hitting, the hitting, the hitting. Well, what do you need to be successful? And we've seen this with the Astros and the Phillies. You need pitching. You can go with hitting, and I get that, but you still need some pitching, and they don't do it. And I've seen a couple of rumors on who they are trying to get. I see Carlos Rondon. I don't see him coming to Colorado because he went 14-8 for the Giants. His ERA was 2.88. What does he want? He wants to be on a contending team. Now, the guy that I think kind of makes a little more sense is a guy that he would help our bullpen, and he actually did it when he was here. He also pitched for the Yankees, I believe, Adam Ottavino. He's one of those guys that can be the setup man and help
I think
the
he's
bullpen.
with Boston currently.
That might sound right. I'm not exactly sure where he is, but all I know is he was with the organization from 2012 to 2018. And actually he was 7-18 as a relief pitcher. I don't care about that, but the ERA for him was 3.41. Yeah, that sounds a little high, but he's a setup man. And I think that's where the Rockies need to go. As for the Cubs, we have starting pitchers in Kyle Hendricks and Marcus Stroman. Sure, I've criticized Marcus Stroman. Could Carlos Rondon go there? That kind of makes more sense than the Rockies. But like we've said in the Cup, I was saying Cub Federation, but that's not our show, Cub Fidential. And you've heard this. We have to decide, are we rebuilding or are we trying to go for it? Supposedly, from the front office, they said that we're going to go all in and try to be very active. How active? I don't know. But could Rondon make sense? Yeah, sure. But then at the shortstop position, we have been linked to Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, and Alexander Bogaerts.
Wow.
I don't know.
Correa is going to be an interesting one. Trey, I just can't see Trey leaving LA.
I can't either. And then Bogaerts, I mean, that's the wild card there.
The Red Sox. I talked to a Red Sox fan real quick. I'll say this. If you have to choose between Bogaerts and Devers, great player, both of them, and I despise the Red Sox, you got to keep Devers. Bogaerts, yeah, I think Bogaerts is going to go do a decent team. I think Bogaerts is the guy you move on from.
I would agree. I mean, Carlos Correa, I like him, but he's going to probably be the number one shortstop besides Trey Turner that's in free agency. I mean, how much money are the Cubs willing to spend? You already know that, especially watching our show and just watching Major League Baseball, they got rid of high-priced players, Chris Bryant, Javier Baez, and of course, one guy that Rizzo, I wish he was still on the team is Rizzo. Yeah, exactly. And then there's some rumors about Aaron Judge, and I'm like, why would that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you know what? Winter is coming soon. I mean, it'll be interesting with the winter meetings. I hopefully for you, the Yankees get a little bit better than they were. Of course, I do think, we talked about it on 108 Stitches with Scott. What's his last name?
Morgenroth.
That if Boone doesn't get it done next year, he is gone. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. As for, the Cubs and the Rockies aren't going to be spenders. I already know that. They may spend a little bit here to get pitching, but that maybe get pitching. Cubs, I don't know what they're going to do. I've heard so many things. I even complained on one 108 stitches when we got to do a little bit of a rant. I said, tell us what the plan is from the ownership and from Jed Hoyer, the general manager. Whether or not we'll get that answer, who knows? But we'll see once the winter meetings hit, because that's the time where you really have to spend if you're going to be not being a rebuild. But I honestly think the Cubs are in a rebuild, but we'll see how much they spend. So we're going to go on to the NBA, one sport that you and I know well since we're on the NBA carousel here on the Sideline Sports Network, which will be on Mondays. The rumor is we're going to start in January, but what the heck is wrong with the LA Lakers? They're 0-5. Don't get me wrong. I like how the Lakers are playing bad. And I will say, when they got Russell Westbrook last year, I think all of us agreed it wasn't going to work.
So I'll go real quick. Russell Westbrook. What is Russell Westbrook? In my definition, a ball dominant guy. What is LeBron James? Oh, I don't know. A ball dominant guy. You got two ball dominant guys on the same court. Doesn't work like that, NBA. Oh, we're going to play hot potato. Who's going to lead the ball? Who wants the ball? Who wants the ball more? Oh, I don't know. Who carries it up the court? LeBron James. Like you said, we all thought it was going to be a disaster when he went. I thought it was a total disaster too, because you got two ball dominant guys. Russell Westbrook, I'm sorry, you're past your prime. If you want to show that you're worth it, you're either going to get traded or you have to run with the second unit. And I don't know if you want to take a back seat to Pat Beverly. You don't have much left in the NBA. No offense. I know this sounds controversial. I just don't think he has a lot of years left, because who wants a guy who's getting older, super ball dominant, kind of a ball hog, a turnover machine? Like, I get it. Everyone talks about the triple double thing. I don't care. This is Westbrook now, not then, now. And then you got LeBron, who's still one of the best players in the league, but he's still missing easy shots. Like, I saw him miss a few layups the other day, and like, he's not the LeBron of youth where he was in Cleveland and Miami dunking every play and making jump shots and stuff. And then you got Anthony Davis, who's definitely not the same player he was in New Orleans. This guy's so much more injury prone. The other day during the Nuggets game I was watching, and you probably saw it too, he was wincing. His back was wincing. He's had injuries the last few years. And if you're the Lakers, I don't know how much longer you're going to have a healthy Anthony Davis, because they said, oh, he's healthy now. No, he's not. No, he's not.
No.
He's lingering with something. And I don't know how many more years of an Anthony Davis you could get, especially injury-prone Anthony Davis. Because in New Orleans, he was putting up double-doubles almost every night. Mm-hmm. This guy right now is a shell of a former self. Yes, he's still one of the best players at his position, but he's not what he was. And the Lakers bench is not that impressive. Like, sure, you got Pat Beverly, a good defender, and you got like decent role players, but at best, the Lakers are a play-in team. Do I think they're going to make the play-in? There's a way, but no, that team is just the right term is pure chaos, just out there. I'm not sold on the team. I haven't been sold on the team in years.
No, I haven't either. And that's the thing is, though, you're gonna have to blow it up at some point. I mean, you're 0-5 right now. I don't know when they're gonna get another
they're gonna
one.
make trades. They're gonna make trades. They have to.
They're gonna have to. I agree with you. The question is where does Russell Westbrook go? I mean, I've heard Charlotte as a landing spot.
I heard that, and it made me so mad.
George Karl, as much as I respect George Karl as a head coach, he said LeBron should go to Denver. I'm sitting there going, why would that make sense? It wouldn't make
and then
any
I
sense.
see these stupid rumors that like in a few years LeBron may go back to Cleveland before he retires. They don't need LeBron. This young core for Cleveland is already too much fun to watch.
It really is. I mean, I thought it was smart
You
that they got
put
Donovan
you
Mitchell.
put him in there, it ruins the chemistry.
It really does. And I agree with that, especially in Denver. We already have a team that's trying to gel. And
Your team's already fine. I think you got a
yeah,
good
exactly.
young team. Do I
We
think you're
definitely
title
do.
contenders? Not yet, but you got Jamal Murray, you got MPJ, you got Jokic, you got Aaron Gordon. Yeah, you got fun pieces.
We really do. And you know who's coming into his own is a Christian Brown, who actually played for Kansas last year.
Kansas, yeah.
He's playing
He's a
really.
fun dude. As a Tar Heel fan, I hated playing him in the national championship, but he fits you guys so well.
He's been really good to our for our rotation. And then the thing I look at the Lakers is you're last in a lot of categories. You're last in scoring. You're last in field goal percentage and from the 3-point line. I feel sorry for
the next few days. You have it on you?
I know the Lakers play the Nuggets tomorrow in LA. After that, I really have no idea.
Yeah, that's enough.
So now we're gonna move on to a happier subject. How do I feel about our NBA team so far? I'll go first. I mean, the Nuggets sit at 4-2. I'm happy where we're at. We're still gelling with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. I know Porter Jr. missed one game because of back spasms, but you know what? That was just load management. I'm not worried about it. You look at Jokic, he's doing his thing with almost a triple double each night, 20.7 points, 10.7 rebounds, 8.8 assists. I know we got blown out in our 2 losses to Utah and Portland. Portland's a good team, though. They've got Damian Lillard and Jeremy Grant. And then you look at Utah. That was just their first game. But the thing is, the nice thing about this year's team as opposed to last year is we only had Aaron Gordon really as a scorer for Jokic. Now you have Michael Porter Jr. and you've got Jamal Murray as well as Kentavious Caldwell-Pope averaging 11.8 points per game. And we talked about Brown, who's the rookie from Kansas, but another guy who I think was a great pickup for us and it's very underrated. That is Bruce Brown. The guy is shooting 10.7 points per game. Not
Him
bad.
leaving the Nets was a good thing.
It really was. I mean, you can see that there's not a lot of pressure on him to perform.
Pistons, he did nothing. Nets, he did and then he's going to be good for you guys.
I'm excited about him. I mean, granted, we're just starting to gel, and this team, I'm going to say it's going to be at least top 6. I want to be a top 4. I mean, winning the championship is always hard. I'm not going to put those expectations. I did say I wanted to go to the Western Conference Finals, but again, it's so hard in an 82-game schedule. So who knows what we're going to end up doing. But all I know is as long as all of our pieces are healthy, we'll be a top 6 and hopefully a top 4 team.
Yeah, as you know, I'm a Hornets fan, and we haven't had LaMelo Ball because he got hurt in the preseason, or I think maybe preseason. And I think we're expecting him back soon. I can't remember when, but it was like a 1 to 2 week thing. It wasn't terrible. The guy who shocked me, and he's from North Carolina originally, went to North Carolina State, is Dennis Smith Jr. When we signed him, I was like, this guy got passed over by the Mavericks because he used to be just a dunker. The Knicks, he was like the second string point guard. So I saw we signed him. I said, okay, we're just signing a hometown boy, whatever. I don't care, whatever. He's going to struggle. He's actually playing really well lately. He is surprising a lot of people, like putting up double-digit points and like helping, whether it's on the bench or starting in place of LaMelo Ball until LaMelo Ball comes back, because then he'll probably lead the second unit. The other guy is Nick Richards. A few years ago, we drafted him. We never really gave him a chance because we drafted Vernon Carey Jr. and we were like, oh, we had Plumlee, and we're like, oh, we're not going to give this kid minutes. And I'm like, why? This kid was actually really good at Kentucky. This kid's actually exploding now. He's like doing double doubles off the bench, and he's playing well, and he's finally getting the minutes he deserves. And the other guy, I don't know if you would call him a surprise, but he is emerging because we don't have Miles Bridges is PJ Washington. And PJ Washington is good for maybe like 10 to 15 points per night. And he's playing well. And I'm surprised they're playing pretty well. The Hornets, I can't remember what their record is, but tonight
2-3. They're 2-3 right
yep.
now.
And it's going to be 2-4 because we're going to play the Warriors tonight at home. I'm not going to the game.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough game.
I normally go to the game because Curry comes home, but I'm not going tonight. But that I think we're going to lose. And then Halloween night we play the Kings, and I think it'll be a toss-up game. We can either win that game or we can lose that game. But yeah, how far do I think we're going to go this year? I don't know. I think we're maybe an 8th seed or a play-in team, maybe 7th seed at best.
I mean, you're 2-3. You guys are, like you said, you're missing one of your best scorers, LaMelo Ball. But I mean, you still have Terry Rozier there and Gordon
Kelly
Hayward.
Oubre, Gordon Hayward, yeah.
So you guys are going to be fine. I mean, whether or not you're going to make the playoffs as a top 6 team, who knows? I think as long as Steve Clifford gets the, the rotation.
I did not like that hire.
Believe me, I completely agree. But as long as he gets some rotation going, I think you guys are going to be fine. It's really hard. It's to judge a team, 4 or 5 games in, unless you're the LA Lakers who are 0-5. But
yeah.
So let's finish up the show with our surprise teams a weekend. I'll let you go first.
I actually have a few. I cheated. The Wizards having a winning record. Like, did I think they were going to suck? No. Did I think they were going to be great? No. I know you got Bradley Beal and a bunch of other good players. The other ones that are shocking in Utah, without Gobert and Mitchell, how are they winning? This is insane. The surprise bad teams are the Sixers. I don't know what's going on with Sixers. I've actually got a few. The Clippers and the Miami Heat.
The Heat are supposed to be one of those top teams.
And the Clippers are too, because I've seen prediction where people are like, "Oh, they're going to the Western Conference Finals." Blah, blah, blah. No, they're good, but they're not that good. But like, I was shocked because they have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and then the Heat have Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry. Like, it's supposed to be Bam Adebayo, one of the best teams in the East, but they're just, I don't know what's with them. They're just starting off struggling. What about you?
The Heat, to me, though, I mean, I think that is a surprise bad team because you look at it, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, got beaten by the Boston Celtics. And I do agree, you've got Tyler Hero, you've got who actually could be a starter in this league, but he's coming off the bench. Jimmy Butler, I mean, it's like Bam Adebayo. You've nailed it on the head that's a team that should not be struggling, but they are. My surprise team, I could say Portland, but the reason why I'm not going to say that is because they have one of the best shooters in the league in Damian Lillard, and they got Jeremy Grant. I would agree with you that it's the Utah Jazz. And, of course, we know what Utah did in the offseason. They got rid of Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, of course, Quinn Snyder. That situation just didn't make sense. You'd rather, get rid of these all-stars and not keep your coach. That situation made no sense to me, especially when he went 372 and 264, a winning percentage of .585 plus. He took you to the playoffs, 6 straight years. Basically, I thought it was going to be a rebuild. They're proving that it's not going to be a rebuild. They're 4-2. Offensively, they score 115. Go ahead.
They're gonna find out they're gonna find out they're actually the Jazz who don't have those two superstars.
Probably, but offensively, they're averaging 115.8 points per game. Lauri Markkanen leads the team with 21.2 points per game. Jordan Clarkson is basically the only superstar you really have.
Yep.
And he's not going to save the Jazz. He's averaging 16.7 points per game. Do I think this is going to hold up? No, I don't think so. But they're still a surprise team because they're 4-2. And if you look at the first game against the Nuggets last week, I know it was the first game for the Nuggets, so you can't really put a lot of stock in it. But the Jazz were saying, you know what? We know we don't have these superstars. Let's play team basketball. And that's what they did. But honestly, you're going to need more than Jordan Clarkson and Lauri Markkanen. They're going to find that out pretty darn quickly. But I mean,
How about
again,
their ugly jerseys, Jordan? The yellow ones. Ugh.
yeah, not
I'm
good.
like, what am I seeing? A running highlighter on the floor?
So, yeah, I would agree. The NBA, I love what they do with jerseys, but sometimes they go way too far.
That jersey's ugly. It's just plain yellow.
It is not great. But speaking of jerseys, I don't know if you've seen the jerseys at the Broncos. If you don't know, I'm a Broncos fan. They're playing in London tomorrow, and the jerseys are. I don't like them. They're completely terrible. It's
Oh,
the
I'll have to
white.
look them up.
It's the white. I'm fine with the white jersey, but then it's the blue and orange pants. It's like going on Madden and switching what color you want for your.
That's so stupid.
It is. I mean, I'm like, if you're gonna do blue and orange, at least and white, no, don't do that. Do blue with the orange, stripe with either the orange jersey or the blue jersey, not white and then blue pants. It just,
No, that
I don't
doesn't
know.
look right.
It looks awful, and we're getting criticized. I don't know if that was general manager George Patton's idea, the ownership group, or Nathaniel Hackett being, oh, okay, let's just combine the two jerseys.
Or someone
because
just forgot to pack the tops.
I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is what it is. Hopefully, if they win, why not use the combination more? But if they lose, yeah, I don't like it.
Yep.
But it is what it is. And, the NBA and the NHL, I will say, are probably the two best leagues in terms of coming up with jerseys, because what are fans going to do? They're going to go out and buy them. So, I mean, it's a great thing that, they come up with these concepts. I looked at the Nuggets new jersey that they're going to have for, I don't even know, special games, I guess. And honestly, it's just Denver with the old Denver sign. Like in the 90s and early 2000s before we changed our jerseys, but it's just that and it's white. It's like, I don't see much difference here, but I got to credit to the NBA that they do a lot of interesting stuff with jerseys.
Yeah, they do.
But that wraps up this under review. Will, why don't you tell people where they can find you and follow you?
So you guys can find me on Monday nights during in probably January, the NBA Carousel. Tuesday nights on the South Florida Tribune show called 108 Stitches Baseball with Jordan, Scott, and I, and a few other guests. Then Thursdays, the Sip Off hosted by Megan Price and Jahan Phillips. And then Sunday nights, Basket Bros.
I really encourage people to watch Basket Bros just because it basically takes you back to your childhood. I mean, sure, you're going to hear Jacob Krishner talk about Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, but you're still talking about
We're
basketball.
actually bringing up a current topic this week.
What's that?
I think it's like modern coaches. Is it their players that are not buying in or something like that, or is it them?
You know
and
what?
Jacob thought of it, and I was like, okay.
That actually does make sense, because if you look, I'm just using the New Jersey Nets or Brooklyn Nets, I should say, as an example with, what they had. Why isn't it working with Jason Kidd? Is it him or is it the players? That is a very good point. I'm kind of interested to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Yeah, I'm interested too.
So as for me, you can find me on the NBA Carousel. I was the representative of the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if I'm going to do that anymore, but I do the Denver Nuggets as well, my hometown team. On Tuesday nights, I am on with Will on the South Florida Tribune with 108 Stitches, and it's just a baseball show, and it's very informative of what we think of what's going on with baseball right now. Thursdays, the NFL Carousel, which is Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel, hosted by Eric Wilson. And then, of course, I have my own show that I do usually on Fridays that I post on Network on Saturdays called Under Review. Of course, this is what Under Review is. And then I also have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter at SportsScoop1. Well, that does it for this edition of Under Review. Have a great week. And if you watch the South Florida Tribune, please tune in for 108 Stitches on Tuesday nights, as Will and I will be on there with a couple of other guests. But otherwise, enjoy your Saturday.